Everybody, how's it going? Hope everybody's doing good. I'm good because I'm at the beach. So we were on 24-hour lockdown for a few days and we had a let up today of the curfew. So I'm happy to be out in the fresh air and the fresh breeze and get a little bit of sunshine, a little bit of nature. Um, and I also wanted to just do a little yoga class with you. So thanks to everybody who watched my last video, just that little simple mindfulness meditation that I posted a few days ago. And thanks to those who commented and expressed an interest in doing some more. So that's basically what we're going to do today. If you've ever been to my classes, you know that pretty much all of my classes focus on meditation. This is the foundation of yoga. The reason I feel like I have to make this distinction is because there's a lot of different types of yoga classes out there. So there are some yoga classes out there that are a little bit more physically aggressive, so to speak, and that don't really make much mention of the roots of yoga or the traditional aspects of yoga like meditation. So you can expect from my classes that you have the opportunity to find some stillness and some relaxation and hopefully um, be able to settle into meditation a little bit better. So we're going to just be practicing some basic breathing techniques today and some very gentle stretches and movements, which are the asanas, and that will hopefully prepare the body to ease into a nice little mindfulness meditation. So ideally you can come to a comfortable place and away from distractions. I know that that's not possible for everybody right now, so we just have to make do with our circumstances, and that goes for any time. Because as a matter of fact, that's ultimately where we want to get in our yoga practice anyway. Our yoga practice is not just about this time that we spend on the mat. This is our training, this is our practice for what we're going to do off the mat. So we want to develop an awareness that we can take with us out into our world and into our everyday circumstances. So when we have less than ideal circumstances, if we have a lot of activity or noise and things going on around us, then it does make it a little bit harder to focus the awareness and to find stillness. But just like I tell my dive students who are learning how to dive in challenging conditions or a challenging environment, they're actually pretty lucky in the big picture because you know, if they have to deal with a challenging environment from the get-go, then it's only going to strengthen them and prepare them for the challenging conditions that are going to come along at some point, either in the water or out of the water. And also, it provides the benefit that when you do have those nice, calm, easy conditions, then it just feels like absolute heaven. So for those of you who may have like a little bit of chaotic world around you right now, then we're going to just deal with that. You know, find a little spot, and you know, if the kids want to join in, you know, let the kids join in. This is perfectly suitable for everybody here. But if you do have the time and you do have the space, this is also a great opportunity to take an adult timeout. And I think that we all need an adult timeout every now and then. So if you have a mat, then that's really good. If you don't have a mat, blanket or a towel, something that you can set down. And if you have any yoga blocks or cushions or pillows or anything, you can have those things around because they're always, you always might find them useful for some things. It's best not to practice yoga with a full stomach, so if you've just had something to eat, you might want to wait and do this a little bit later. So just bring your open mind. Let's get started. We're going to start out in Balasana, which is the child's pose. So by the way, I'm going to be demonstrating what you should do, but I'm not necessarily going to stay in those positions for the entire length of time that you're going to be in them, because it's just easier for me to talk to you when if I don't have my face down in the sand, obviously. So let's come into Balasana. I'll just show you how that is, and hopefully you can see me well enough. So you can come to your knees, widen your knees a bit, and have your big toes so that they're touching each other. And then you can just walk your forearms down towards the ground. And then, if you can, allow your forehead to completely come to the ground. Okay, so the forehead might not come all the way to the ground, at least in the beginning. As the body softens up a little bit, you might find this a little bit easier. So in the meantime, if the hips and the heels don't meet, then one thing that you can try is you can try just placing a cushion in between the hips and the heels, just so that you don't have that sense of strain. If the forehead doesn't come all the way to the ground, then one thing you can try, if you have a block or if you have a cushion, you can place it underneath your forehead so that your head and your neck aren't just dangling precariously there. And another thing that you can try if you don't have cushions or blocks is you can try stacking one fist on top of the other and then just resting your head on those stacked fists. You can have your arms stretched out, fingertips stretching towards the front of the mat, and just feel a nice stretch through the shoulders, and then release and relax into this as much as possible. This is a relaxation pose, and I understand that it might not feel relaxing to everybody right away. But as I said before, we're going to work on just using the breath and bringing our awareness fully into this, and see if we can detect where we're holding on to tension in the body. And when we bring the awareness to the tension in our body, then naturally we can release a lot of it just by bringing the awareness to it. So that's what we're going to work on right now. So let's just bring the awareness fully into this present moment and accept that we don't have to do anything right now. We don't have to be anywhere else but right here. Doing this, we've made the commitment, we've made the choice to spend the next 45 minutes or so just doing this. So let's take in a deep breath, fill up the lungs, and just hold the breath for a moment at the crest of that inhalation. And then exhale, sigh, let it out. And when that happens, just notice how the body just becomes a little bit softer. You move just a little bit closer to the earth. We'll gradually guide the mind's eye from the toes up towards the head, eventually back down towards the toes, and this is really in slow motion. We're making a point to touch every part of the body, so down to every fingertip, down to every eyelash even, just taking notice of the entire body as a whole, noticing individual parts, and while we're doing that, noticing any sensations that we witness in this present moment. Developing an awareness of the sensations of our body is not only a good concentration tool for meditation, but cultivating this awareness of what's going on in our body and how the body feels is also really going to help us in our asana practice to discover those places where we're holding on unnecessarily. We may not even notice that we have been holding tension in certain areas, and that we can gradually over time coax ourselves into letting go a little bit. Flexibility is something that we can develop over time with physical training, but it's also very much a state of mind. We really have to allow ourselves to first discover where we feel the resistance, where we feel the tension. And we have to get the mind and the breath and the body all working together to let go of that tension. So we bring the awareness to the breath. You can notice the sensation of the breath as it enters and leaves the nostrils, and the movement in the belly and the rib cage, and maybe even a little bit in the chest as we breathe in and out. At first, let's just notice the natural breath. So let's see what the natural breath looks like today. The breath can tell us a lot about what's going on in the body and also in the mind. When we're stressed out, when we're tense, when we're not well, the breath can be a little bit shaky or erratic, or maybe a little bit shallow and uneven. On the other hand, when we're really content and relaxed, the breath also becomes very smooth, very easy, very subtle. So let's just see where the breath is now, and we'll be with the breath during this entire class, so we can just observe it. And we'll also begin to have a little bit of influence on the flow of the breath. So with the breath as our anchor, we'll consciously guide the breath all the way into the base of the lungs and allow the belly to expand as this happens, the ribcage expands. As the breath comes all the way to the very top of the lungs, the chest and collarbones might even rise a little bit. The exhalation is natural and passive. There's no effort required. When it's time to inhale again, deliberately filling up the lungs from the bottom to the top and allowing the belly to soften so that the lungs can expand from bottom to top. We're gradually softening up the muscles and the other tissues that surround the lungs, so the intercostal muscles between the ribs and some of the abdominal muscles, even the pectoral muscles, and some muscles and tissues around the spine. We allow those to soften up and make room for the lungs to expand, and with each inhalation, we're giving them a little stretch. And over time, we're allowing ourselves to use the full lung capacity. We're bringing in more oxygen into the body than we do with normal breathing, up to 7 times more oxygen, in fact. And we're also cultivating a little bit of influence over the breath. So just as our breath can tell us a lot about what's happening in the body and the mind, at the same time, we can alter the flow of the breath and direct the breath in order to influence what's happening in the body and the mind. So we've did a little scan of the body, and we are kind of aware of where we're holding on to some tension today. So the next inhalation, let's just send an inhalation to those areas. Just visualize the prana, the life force energy, flowing into those areas. And then as we exhale, just noticing a little softening up, a little release in that area. Now in child's pose, it might feel good to take your right arm and tuck it up underneath your left arm. So just let the fingers crawl out towards the left side of your mat, and when you don't feel like you can go anymore, then release back down. You can have your head resting on the right side. And here you just feel a nice little stretch on your right shoulder. So take a couple of nice, deep, influential breaths here, sending the breath to any areas where you feel the resistance, where you feel tension, maybe even where you feel some discomfort. See if you can let go of some of that tension and discomfort with the exhalation. Now we can untuck that right arm from underneath the left arm and come back to center. Just a little brief pause here, moment of mindfulness, and then we can take the left arm and tuck it up underneath the right arm. So we're still in child's pose here. We take the left arm, tuck it underneath the right, and walk the fingers out towards the very edge of the right side of your mat, and then release down again. It may feel good to turn your head to the left side. Again, if you have a block or a cushion that you want to rest your head on. And without me being actually there with you, I can't see what you're doing and see if there's any way that I can help you, of course. But when you bring this mindfulness into your practice and you practice your asanas with a foundation of awareness, and also an awareness on the breath, what happens gradually over time is you really become a very keen observer to your sensations and what's happening in your body, and your body will be able to communicate with you. Not only will it be able to communicate with you when maybe something's wrong and something needs to be changed, but it will also, you'll intuitively kind of know how you can adapt and how you can modify to not only make it more comfortable but more beneficial for you personally. You can untuck that left arm from underneath the right, come back to center, and let's just give one really good stretch. Stretch those fingers towards the top of the mat and let that stretch come from the shoulders. Feel some length in the spine, like you're creating some space in between the vertebrae. Take in a deep inhalation. Fill up the lungs from the bottom to the top. The crest of that inhalation, hold the breath just for a moment. When it's time to let it out, just exhale, soften, and release. We'll walk our hands back towards our knees and gradually lift up the spine, coming into a seated position. You'll naturally come into this position, Vajrasana, or sometimes also call it the hero pose or the thunderbolt. But this might not be comfortable for you. It does give a nice stretch to the ankles. So if this isn't possible for you, then let's just come into whatever seated position is possible. And sitting on the ground and sitting in a cross-legged position may not be comfortable in the beginning. just like any of these exercises, any of these stretches, any of these postures may not be comfortable in the beginning. But we're going to find ways to gradually ease out our tension and soften ourselves up so that we can find more and more comfort gradually as we progress. So one thing that you can try is if you have a cushion or if you have a block, you can place it underneath your hips. Give a little bit of elevation to the hips and allow the pelvis to tilt slightly forward so that the knees come a little bit forward. And get a sense that you're really rooted into the base of the pelvis. You can feel into the fleshy part of your butt. You feel some rounded bones at the base of your pelvis. These are the ischial tuberosity, or in yoga we often call them the sitting bones or the sits bones. And we really want to be rooted into those and balanced into those. So if you're sitting on a cushion, just kind of come forward on the cushion and just feel rooted down. When we really get anchored down into those sitting bones, then it allows us to be upright with very little effort. We don't have to use our muscles as much to hold ourselves up, and so it really allows for this sense of being very awake and very alert, but at the same time feeling nice and relaxed. And this is why this is an ideal position to practice meditation. So we're just going to sit here for a minute or so and just feel this position, maybe see where our tension is, see what we can do about that tension. If you'd like to close your eyes, feel free to close your eyes here. Alternatively, you can find somewhere to fixate your gaze and just soften your eyes. And we bring the awareness to the breath, of course, back to our anchor. We can just watch the natural flow of breath, or if you wish, you can exert a little bit of influence on the breath by taking in deep inhalations and letting the belly expand, the rib cage in both the front and the back of the body expand, the chest and collarbones rise. The exhalation is natural and passive at first, but when we reach the end of that natural exhalation, we can try engaging the abdominal muscles and pulling the belly button inwards. And you'll notice that there's still a little bit of breath left in the lungs that can be squeezed out. Allowing you to extend the exhalation to be longer than usual, maybe even longer than the inhalation, allowing you a lot more control over the length and the quality of the breath. With the awareness still anchored on the breath, we can bring the awareness to the base of the spine. And we can sense just a very subtle squeezing and lifting of the pelvic floor muscles, Mula Bandha, giving ourselves a nice, sturdy base. And we notice that when we create that sturdy base, that the spine just naturally kind of lifts up and grows taller. We sense a little bit of space in between the vertebra and the spine, a little bit of space in between the ribs. When we bring the awareness to the shoulders, naturally the shoulders just kind of relax down away from the ears. The hands can be resting wherever they're comfortable, resting on the knees. And you can experiment with how it feels to have your palms facing down, or maybe your palms facing up. When your palms are facing up, it invites a little bit more openness and receptivity. So just see what feels good in this present moment. And let's bring the awareness fully into this present moment. Where in the world we are in this present moment. What sensations we notice regarding any pleasant sensations and unpleasant sensations, just with the same awareness. If an emotional reaction bubbles up, then just take notice of it and see if you can avoid acting on it. See if we can just for this moment find a little bit of stillness. the body may still feel a bit stiff and resistant. So let's do a little bit, some more gentle exercises just to juice up the joints and continue to soften up the body tissues and see if that helps us at all. So we can stretch out our legs, and might feel good just to bounce the knees up and down a few times, or maybe to make like windshield wipers with the feet. We're still rooted down into those sitting bones, we're still growing tall, and from this foundational position, which we call Dandasana or the staff pose, do a little bit of hip releasers. So we can bring the knee in towards the chest, right knee, and take a hold of the right foot with the left hand, and take a hold of the knee with the right hand. Pull the foot in as close to the body as comfortable, and then just rock from side to side. This is called rock the baby. This is really good just for flushing the hip joint with some synovial fluid, which will help ease any pain that you might have there, and will just influence your mobility better for the other activities that you do. Now, if you're very flexible, you might find it's quite easy to put the foot all the way up inside of the elbow, and the knee inside the opposite elbow. You might be able to really pull that leg close and interlace the fingers and hug that leg towards the chest. Now, if you try this and you collapse forward, then you just want to ease off of that and really, get that. Don't compromise the length in the spine for the sake of bringing it closer. So just gently rock from side to side. And when we really get that rock going, we can even notice a nice little massage that we're getting on the right hip right now. Next, we'll take the right hand and we'll place it underneath the right knee. So on the back side of the knee, and we're still holding on to the right foot with the left hand. And now we're going to stir the pot. So let's make some big circles with the heel. So just like we're stirring a big pot of rum punch. And you can try making small circles, you can try making big circles. Once you've done a few of those, be sure to reverse and do a few in the opposite direction. And pull the foot in towards the body one more time, and then stretch it out, and then release it back down. Come back to your foundational staff position, and this time we'll do the same with the left leg. So bring the left knee in towards the chest, release the knee down a little bit, and take a hold of the left foot with the right hand, and take a hold of the knee, the left foot with the right hand and the knee with the left hand. Gently rock from side to side. Again, you can experiment a little bit. Gently rock from side to side. Get that nice massage in the left hip. And then next we'll take a hold of the foot with the right hand and place the left hand underneath the knee, and then we'll stir the pot. So we'll make some big circles or some small circles. Try some different things. This is just really good for juicing up the joints. So just take notice of what joints are moving around right now. We have our hip joint involved, we have our knee involved, the elbow, and even the shoulder. Let's reverse and do some in the opposite direction. Very simple, very fundamental, but this will really help you with softening up and preparing to sit in meditation. Let's squeeze it in towards the chest one more time, and then lengthen it out and release. Let's come onto our hands and knees into tabletop position. So we come onto all fours. Our knees are about hip width apart, and our wrists are directly beneath our shoulders. Fingers are nice and spread out, and we're going to limber up the spine with some cat-cow exercises. So first we come into the cat position by tucking the chin in towards the chest, tucking the tailbone under, pressing into the hands and lifting the spine up towards the sky or towards the ceiling. Next, we move into the cow position where we lift the tailbone. We soften the belly, we open up the chest, we feel some length in the spine, the throat stretches out, and we can even gaze up towards the sky or towards the ceiling. Now let's continue to do this at your own pace, and you're going to coordinate the movements with the breath. So exhaling as you press up into the cat, and inhaling as you lengthen and open up into cow. So the breath is guiding this movement. Of course, this is still a mindfulness meditation, so we're fully engaged with the breath. You can allow the breath just to do what it will, or you can choose to influence that breath. So as you lengthen and open up into the cow position, you can deliberately direct that breath all the way to the base of the lungs and allow the belly to expand and the rib cage to expand, even the chest and collarbones to rise slightly at the end of that inhalation. As you press up into the cat position, at the end of that exhalation, you can deliberately pull the belly button inwards towards the spine and lengthen that exhalation. So do that a couple more times at your own pace. Without rushing, the next time you come into the cat position, you can return the spine to neutral. On the next inhalation, you can lift up the right leg, and we're going to stretch that right leg out towards the horizon behind us, or towards the wall behind us. We're not necessarily pointing the toe. Instead, we want to feel like the heel is stretching towards that wall behind us, and we feel the lengthening coming from the hip all the way out through the back of the foot. Now on the next exhalation, we're going to bring the forehead towards the knee and the knee towards the forehead. So the knee comes in, the forehead comes in. It's not necessarily going to touch, but as if it's going to touch, and we arch the spine up like we do in the cat. We press through the hands. When it's time to inhale again, we open up the chest, stretch out the throat, gaze up with the eyes, stretch that heel back towards the horizon behind. Now do that a couple of times at your own pace. Of course, the movement is guided by the breath, so inhale, lengthen, open up, breathe into those spaces that you're creating. On the exhalation, we bring the knee in towards the forehead towards the knee, and we squeeze that breath out with control and with ease. Right now we're doing a lot of things. We're getting a lot of different benefits from this, but one of the main things that we're working on is getting the body and the breath and the mind all working together as one. So if we just do this simply for physical exercise and we let our mind wander off into the ether, then we don't really have that potential to really get down into our body and feel our body and get down into the tissues and see what is going on and see what we can do to make things better. So take this nice and slow. This is also having such an influence on your brain function. So these movements are getting the right and left hemispheres communicating really well and bringing homeostasis to the entire system. Now on the next time that your leg lengthens out behind you, one thing that you can try is find somewhere to focus your gaze and then lift up your left arm and stretch it towards the horizon in front of you. So we're just challenging our balance a little bit here. Just hold that for a few nice, slow, influential breaths. And then with control and ease, lower that arm down, lower the leg down. It may feel good just to come back into child's pose for a few breaths here. After a couple breaths, we'll come back to our tabletop position, and we're going to do the same with the left side of the body. So we'll stretch that left leg out behind. Really feel that lengthening coming from the hip all the way out through the heel and through the bottom of the foot. Also continue to feel that length through the upper body. So we feel some space in between the vertebra. We're giving a little bit of a gentle press into the hands and moving the shoulders away from the ears. Feeling some length through the back of the neck. On the exhalation, draw the forehead towards the knee towards the forehead. Exhale, squeeze with control and ease. The inhalation opens us up. The exhalation folds us forward. Continue to do this a few times at your own pace. And allow the breath to be the guide. Now the next time your leg is stretched out behind you, no rushing. Be present with every moment of this. When that left leg is stretched out behind you, you can find somewhere to fixate your gaze. This time lift up the right arm, stretch it out towards the horizon in front of you or towards the wall in front of you. As if you're reaching out ahead of you with your fingertips, you're reaching out behind you with the bottom of your foot, and you're really creating some space in the body where the energy can flow more freely. You're taking in a deep breath and just notice how it feels so different to draw in that breath deeply when you're in this position. Let the breath out slowly with control. And at the very tail of that exhalation, let the leg lower back down, let the arm lower back down, and sit back into child's pose for a few moments if that feels good. Otherwise, take the next 30 seconds or so just to do any intuitive movement that feels natural. So by now you've really spent a little bit of time inside yourself and being aware of yourself. So you're cultivating that awareness of how your body feels and what your body needs. And so just allow your body to do what feels right in this moment. When you're ready, come back into your tabletop position. We'll have our toes so that they're touching the ground. Our fingers, again, are spread nice and far apart. We really want to be able to anchor down into all parts of both hands. And then we're going to press up, lifting our knees off the ground, lifting our hips up into the sky. and coming into downward facing dog. So downward facing dog can be quite difficult, and we're going to stay here for a little while, so I'm going to just let you know that whenever it's time to come down, don't wait for my cue to do that. Okay, so I'm going to come down for a moment so that I can talk to you, and you're going to stay in downward dog if it feels good. When it's time to come out of the pose, you can just come down, take a few moments rest in the tabletop position, or perhaps you want to come all the way back into child's pose for a few moments, take a break, and then when it's time you can come back into downward facing dog. So in downward facing dog, it's not completely necessary that your heels come all the way to the ground in the beginning. So sometimes people try to modify to try to get their heels so that they're all the way touching the ground. But this often compromises the stretch that we really want to feel through the shoulders. So in the beginning, it's kind of nice to lift the heels completely up and come on the tippy toes and really make an effort to try to get those hips touching the sky. You're pressing into your hands as if you're trying to push the ground away from you, and at the same time trying to touch the sky with your butt. Okay, once you have that nice length through the shoulders, then if the heels come to the floor, then that's awesome. But don't force the heels to the ground and then risk compromising that openness through the shoulders. Now, if the hamstrings and the backs of the legs are tight, which they often are, you can pedal one heel at a time towards the ground and just work out some of that tension. Again, remember this is a meditation, so really bring the focus in on the breath and utilize the breath to ease out any tension that you're experiencing. Continually guide your mind's eye through the body as you're practicing your asanas and your stretches, and see where you can discover those sensations that are like tension or resistance or maybe even discomfort. And then see if you can use that mindfulness and that control of your own breathing to influence that sensation. Your head should stay in line with your arms, so don't try to lift your head up, because that's just unnecessary strain for your neck. Now, for those of you who may be really flexible or practice yoga often, you might want to throw in some variations here that you know. So any intuitive movement that just comes naturally to you, don't hesitate. Don't, we don't have to follow a strict regimen of do this and then this comes next. So gradually we do want to invite in that sort of intuitive yoga freestyle into our practice. So one thing that you can try, and again, remember when it's time to come out, just come into your tabletop, come into your child's pose. But when you come back into your downward facing dog, one thing that you can try is three-legged dog. So with the three-legged dog, you're lifting one leg up and stretching it out towards the horizon or the wall behind you, similar to what we were doing on our knees just a few minutes ago. So really stretching it back, feeling that length come from the hip out through the bottom of the foot. You can even try on the exhalation, bringing the forehead towards the knee and the knee towards the forehead, and then inhaling, opening up again. You can do that a few times at your own pace, and be sure to do both legs. So I'll just give you another 30 seconds or so just to continue doing downward dog, pedaling the heels, maybe doing a three-legged dog, maybe bringing the knee in towards the forehead and then stretching it out again. Any intuitive movements that feel good. Okay, so let's come back down into our tabletop and take a moment in child's pose. We've been practicing for 45 minutes already. The time just flew by. So that was just a very simple asana practice. But from what you can see, when we really engage the breath fully, and when we fully bring the awareness into the present moment um, and fully into what we're doing, then even the most simple stretches, even the most simple exercises can become very, very powerful and of course very beneficial. So now I'm going to ask you to lie down on your back in Shavasana. So we always end an asana practice with Shavasana, and I'll just show you what it looks like in case you're not sure. And we're just laying on our back, really. So just lie down on your back, and you're gonna stay there. I'm gonna come out of it. And I'm just going to talk you through a little bit of relaxation. So for this part, I'm just gonna turn my camera around, even though your eyes are likely closed and you're not really watching, but I just like to let you look at the ocean during this time. So we take this little time at the end of our asana practice or at the end of our exercises to find total stillness and relaxation so that the body and the mind can assimilate what just happened, so that we can absorb all the benefits of the practice. So this is the time in our practice where we don't have to do anything. There is no effort required here. We just let the breath come back to normal. We let it do its thing. But of course, we're still observing each and every breath. We can take notice of how the body feels in this present moment. We can notice that sensation of the body making contact with the earth and the surrounding air touching the skin. We're aware of sounds around us, but they don't carry us away. We just take notice of this space that we occupy, not just physically in this world, but in this space of time. And when we are fully aware, when we're present with each breath, it's impossible for us to be anywhere else other than the present moment. And it's in this present moment, the one place, the one space of time, the one little sliver where we are truly alive. So let's just connect with that sensation, the sensation of being alive, being conscious, having no other task in this moment but to simply be alive and to breathe. What you've done today in just this 50 minutes or so is not just for yourself, but for everybody around you. This sense of relaxation and mindfulness that you've cultivated during this short time is beneficial for everybody around you. So you can be happy with yourself. Thank yourself for giving yourself this time today and for doing this. For the next few minutes, we're just going to continue watching the breath. If any thoughts interrupt us, we just notice what those thoughts are. We don't allow them to carry us away. We can't stop the thoughts from running. We're not going to try to run away from them. We're not going to fight them. We just observe as they arise. We observe as they pass away. If at any point we notice that we're somewhere else, something carried us away, well, then we just acknowledge that it happened, no frustration, no judgment, and deliberately draw ourselves back to our anchor, back to our breath. The body has become very relaxed. The breath has become very subtle. The mind has become more still. Let's just take notice of how we feel as a whole. Maybe compare it to how we felt an hour or so ago before we started this practice. If this feels really good, then you can stay here as long as you would like to. All I ask is that when the time does come to gradually come out of this and return to the active part of your day, that you make a sankalpa, a very willful vow to take this awareness with you out into your world and to apply it to whatever comes next. So I'm just turning my camera around here. So thanks for doing that practice with me today. I hope it was beneficial for you. If you do want to stay in this relaxation for a while, the next video that I have coming up is of a full deep relaxation, so a yoga nidra session where you can lay there and be guided through a longer relaxation. So feel free to stay right here and do the next video with me as well. Otherwise, hopefully see you soon. I'm going to try to do some more of these videos. It's an experiment for me. And there is no charge for these classes or for these videos. I know a lot of people are in the same position as me right now, where there's no income and possibly no income in sight for a while. But if you are in a position and you want to contribute, then I do have links to my PayPal and my Venmo account in the video description. And of course, always grateful for any offerings. If you haven't already, you can subscribe to my channel on YouTube, Soul Scuba. There's not really a whole lot there yet, but hopefully as time goes on and I get the hang of this sort of thing, then hopefully there'll be some more stuff there. And also, if you haven't already, if you're on Facebook, you can like my pages, Amanda Par Yoga and Soul Scuba Yoga and Diving, and I'll be posting these videos there as well. So as always, we always end our class with Namaste. Namaste is Sanskrit, a greeting really, and it's a way of seeing each other. It's a way of recognizing the oneness within us all, and it translates to something like, the light within me recognizes and bows to the light within you. So thank you very much for watching this video, and please feel free to leave any comments, any suggestions, any questions, and I hope to see you again soon. Take care, everybody. Cheers. Bye.